Both those companies combined will probably do anywhere north of 25 million. They're both profitable. And that's just kind of giving an example of those two pillars out of the three in cannabis, how you would invest in the cannabis space. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. I'm here to talk more about the third pillar, which is being able to understand how the intricacies and nuances of being able to invest in the cannabis space. My goal here is for you guys to have a little bit of education on the global aspect of the market, the size, and then to be able to look at this is an important sector for you to focus on as far as your portfolio. And I'll talk a little bit more about everything else we go. As we do that, I would like this to be more interactive. So I know we'll have questions and Q&A at the end, but if you have questions throughout this, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, and I will free flow through that as we go through the slides. So everybody got that?
Yes.
I think you were telling me I need to go a little slower, so I'm gonna try to speak a little slower. If you guys get to know me later at dinner, I talk real fast and I'll move faster, but right now I'm gonna try to slow down. Cool, so cannabis, you asked that class.
That's by design.
Size of the market. This is statistics that they're giving from what information they have available to them. A lot of people are trying to enter the cannabis space. They're working off the data that they have, and they all work from the purview that they have. But what they don't understand is what it's come from and how big it can be. So the data shows from a recreational cannabis side, you're going to see, and medical as well, a $23 billion market by 2021. And then in hemp and CBD, as you guys are hearing about that big craze, the most recent studies are showing $21 billion. So combined, the plant is showing about a $54 billion emerging market within the next 2 years. Within the long tail, this would be a multi-trillion dollar market. And I'll explain why that's going to happen. So this is the cannabis industry growing at a 27% CAGR. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term. That's compounded annual growth rate. To give you an example, this is medical use, adult use, and scale of which they're showing moving forward as far as displacement of numbers. Any questions here? Do you guys kind of pick this up and understand it? Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Another chart for you guys to see. It's showing kind of the speed of growth of like the other industries that had a lot of $5 billion plus industries. So home video, basic cable. This doesn't seem as dated, but broadband access would be something that would be to look at as far as connection to the internet. So you're seeing speed and velocity of growth. This is an opinion and purview that I have in the space, and these macro categories, as I see it, biotech, so stem cells, wellness and health, be able to elongate kind of all the things that we hear in studies as far as the biotechnology of augmentation, as well as be able to get the data from stem cells and prolong your life. That sector of wellness, AI, machine learning, cryptocurrency, Internet of Things, and cannabis. Over the next 10 to 20 years, these macro sectors will be in your everyday life. These are things that will affect everything that go on from how you interact with other human beings. So the contrarian view is cannabis is something that just gets you high.
Is that what we're going to do at lunch?
If you guys want to get high, we can get high. But
That'll slow you down.
Sure. So to illustrate, a lot of people think that that's what it does, right? That's the idea. It's pot, it's cannabis, these are the things that it gets you high. It's literally one of 350 plus chemicals the plant renewably recreates and it generates. It's a renewable source of 350 chemical compounds. There's one in there that gets you high, and that's THC. Here is the endocannabinoid system. humans are the most diverse endocannabinoid being. The cannabis plant is the most diverse endocannabinoid plant. So it in and of itself is designed in its ability to adapt into its different genotypes. Now I'm getting a little nerdy. It works, and it's designed to work with our bodies. So all your bioreceptors in your mind, like when you smoke, or if you ingest something, or you do something that's anti-inflammatory, your biochemistry, what you ate, what you did, is going to react differently than the person next to you. This is how the systems work. So large distributed potential from cannabis medication. I'm sure you, has anybody here heard, how many people here have smoked cannabis? How many people here?
Inhale though.
How many people here regularly smoke cannabis? Be honest, come on. Okay, 2. How many people have made investments in cannabis in public market pubcos? How many people have made investments in private deals in cannabis? I just want to know where everyone's tried it, but not everybody's a regular user, and some people have made some public investments and very few made private ones. It's good for me. So these are some of the syndromes that it treats from a medical side. I'm sure that you guys have heard this. There's a lot of studies on epilepsy, as you see in the full spectrum of hemp and the oil. Those you've seen a lot of case studies that are reducing seizures by 10x to 50x when people are actually moving to 1-to-1 CBD oils. There is also, it's been known to treat PTSD, sleeping disorders, as certain parts of the plant, as you refine further, are other chemicals that come from the derivative of THC, which is CBN, and that's something that makes you sleep. It would replace a product like Ambien, for example. So these are all little microcosms, little examples of the ability that the plant actually has that's continually renewable. Yes?
Alex, can you quickly enlighten me, please? Is the cannabis now legal in the US?
Cannabis is legal in, so it is recreationally legal in approximately, I don't know exactly the count, I should know that probably, but it's recreationally legal in about 13 to 17 states, which I think on the next bill we'll see. It is medically legal in 33 states, and you'll see the stats. I actually have a slide for
And
that.
for private use, it's legal in about 13, you said?
For recreational use.
Yeah.
So that's just like, hey, we go to the store to buy alcohol. You can go to the store and there'll be 200 brands on the shelf. You can get candies, gummies, vapor, flour, joints, anything you want, topical lotions, all that good jazz. You can put it in oils in your food, and it'll have all the different ways that it can be
Okay,
ingested.
thank you.
Yeah. So this is an important slide. This is something that I want everybody to kind of understand, that what cannabis is going to be able to, the plant in general is going to be able to do, not just cannabis. So alcohol, for example, in Oregon and in Colorado and Washington specifically, since legalization, really over the last 3 years, because it didn't get to full scale until 2014, 2015, if you've been operating inside the space. You're seeing around a 3 to 5, it's actually 3 to 7% shift of downward alcohol trending sales that is moving towards cannabis. So if you take that number and look at the global market for alcohol, that's $1.5 trillion in the global market. If it was democratized and legal everywhere, take away that percentage, and that's what cannabis would take. Simultaneously, it will disrupt the tobacco market, which is an $885 billion market. The other part of the derivative plant, with pills and topicals and all the nutraceutical wellness, a $4.2 trillion market, which, you know, outfits like L'Oreal, Origins, I forgot what skincare company is. Does anybody know what skincare company Origins is off of? No? Estee Lauder, that's it. Those companies are right now actively in the space, speaking with large CBD suppliers and cutting, negotiating deals for how they're going to introduce CBD products into all of their lines. Medicine and pharma, that is also another close to $1 trillion market that it will disrupt simultaneously. So you take just small portions of each of these markets, Cannabis at the same time will disrupt all of them.
And what's cannabis now again? What is it now?
What do you mean?
How many billions is it now? You said was the previous slide?
54. So hemp and cannabis together, you're talking about 54 billion by 2021. And that's super restrictive, as we'll get to. Another thing that you should be thinking about, the derivatives of the plant. Is just that hemp can produce 4 times as much oil per acre in biodiesel as the next current favorite source of biodiesel, which is soybeans. Paper. An acre of hemp produces 4 times the paper than 1 acre of trees. This is another byproduct of the plant, fiber. And also, we can get into foods of hemp seed oil, plastics, and textiles. So it's also the derivatives when you go into extraction, the byproducts, which I'm kind of getting a little granular. You can create renewable plastics that are biodegradable from the byproduct, all the waste, trash to cash. Textiles, obviously everyone knows that there's still hemp code, there's specific things as a renewable source that certain companies like Patagonia like to use. And there's all moving in this direction. And if anybody knows the statistic, long ago, our very first president in the United States, George Washington, he put you in jail if you didn't grow hemp. It's going full circle that way. He thought it was so important for society and for other people, for as a source, for food, seed, textiles, all those things for value add to the community. He made it mandatory for you to grow hemp. Asset class. So make no mistake about it. Right now, it's an alternative asset class, but it will become a macro one, and it will. I try to explain when people say, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm in cannabis. It's the analogy is it's like telling you I'm in the internet. As you can see, with all the other areas and sectors it can touch, there's a lot of categories in which the plant will be able to disrupt these things. And that's the thing, it's a plant. It's been held in prohibition. It's the most profitable cash crop, potentially in history, to man. And it's been held in prohibition for over 30 plus years. What, no, 60, 70 years now. And it's that demand isn't, it's not like you have to explain to somebody the demand. Like, hey, I'm going to sell you a new product. The demand already exists. It's just being lifted from regulation. So as you look at the arbitrage or you look at the asymmetrical risk reward of operating in a regulated market or a non-regulated market, you need to understand what the upside is really going to be. And as I've tried to illustrate, this is a good example of what's fully legal, medically legal, illegal, and how federally illegal but with patchwork regulations on a regional basis. The biggest, yes?
As you show on the map, as mentioned before, it's entirely legal now as of this year in Canada. And one of the things we had to deal with in the cycle was the political will that marijuana was a gateway drug.
Yep.
That was debated for a very long time. The challenge in America is the political will whether marijuana is indeed a gateway drug. So is that being actively debated? Is there a political will to overcome that?
I think the political will in the United States is about money. It's strictly about money and control. Politicians, people that hold private holdings and prisons even, like every layer that you could think that can benefit profitably from this industry because of the massive growth it's going through, it's staggering. One of the companies that I operate is an ancillary company. The ancillary company, I get data that otherwise these reports won't give you. I can tell you what a company and how much they're selling just by the sheer amount of consumable product that they're purchasing. And I can tell you that they're not a regulated company, right? But they're doing $200 million in profit a year. And they've done it in 10 months. But they're doing it across different rule bases. And so that's what's stacking. That's one brand, right? So that just shows the ability of what you wouldn't have access to that data or understand how they're even able to achieve that.
Well, if you think about it geographically, I look at your map and I see the only fully regulated country is Canada.
Yep.
So is it your
smart Canadians?
Yeah.
They're getting ahead on the politics or on the markets.
Would it be your suggestion over the next 5 years or X amount of years that if you're going to invest in cannabis, it should be in Canada, or do you actually think there's another country that's going to launch?
That's a loaded question, and I'm happy to elaborate, but that's not as simple as it. Like, a lot of people ask me what is a good investment make, and I'll give them a good idea to do. But for me, I look at the underlying assets and how well they're performing on their earnings, and I just know it's based on shit. Excuse my French, because like their earning potential and what their actual operating numbers are, the cost of goods, their actual distribution, the actual quality of the product, all those things don't add up. They're all built on a speculative ass because they're going to keep buying market share. That's what they're at. So, for example, Canadian markets, as of last year, we're trading at 100x multiple of the revenue. That's crazy. United States companies were trading at 40x multiple. I'm sure that's probably been cut in half. Private companies are trading at 5-10x of its multiple. Now we're recently seeing 4.5x. Yes.
I thought Poland was legal, but in your map it's legal.
What?
Poland.
Netherlands.
Netherlands, yes.
Netherlands is legal to sell. You cannot grow. It's the most ass backwards thing.
Where do they buy it from?
Good question. Go ask the people that control the Netherlands. I've been going back and forth to Amsterdam pretty regularly to talk with their officials and on some of the extraction technology that they need to be bringing back into, because they look at it as a hard drug. Yes.
So does it mean, according to your map, that Canada is the only country which is allowed to grow
No,
cannabis?
not true. So picture the United States as Europe. Every single state is its own jurisdiction. So every single state has its own set of rules, licensing, and then, so from a macro side, the state makes the rule, then it goes to counties and cities. They can all restrict different rules, give you different licenses. You can, say in California, for example, some people can be vertically integrated. That means you can grow, process, and sell at the store. A place like Washington, you could either do retail or you can grow the product. You can't do both. So it creates, and then some rules are you can open the product and smell it in the store. Some other states are like, you can't open shit, it's all branded. So you gotta look at it and be like, who's pushing the product, how well does it look? It's very CPG oriented, completely consumer product good. So those markets are incredibly advanced when it comes to retail, packaging, and consumer facing. Some markets have public data as far as what your competitors are selling for. Some markets are just, you wouldn't see it. So all these driving forces, basically what I'm saying is every single market has a different life cycle. Just like the industry has a different life cycle. So when you are able to see the trends and patterns, you're able to predict the future. These are the three pillars I talk about. Inside the supply chain, this is touching the plant. Growing, extracting, processing, distribution, branding, delivery, lab, retail. Anything that I do that touch the plant. Ancillary, this is picks and shovels. There's a lot of gold here, right? Who are the guys that were selling tons of picks and shovels about? Are they the ones that really made the money? What happened? It's a whole different, this is not plant touching, this is the globe right now. My market is the globe. I operate in both of these spaces. Now, what I'm here to talk about, and what I've been talking about, is the third space, which is the capital markets. How do you create value in financial instruments, debt capital, M&A, leverage buyouts, IPOs, or pre-IPO deals? How are you going to see this? How are you going to understand the fundamentals behind every single company that's going public? Because there's going to be an incredible amount of them over the next 24 months, depending on how regulations shift and change. So, as I said before, I'm not selling you guys anything. I'm here to just try to educate you, try to provide value, and understand that this market is huge. And this is something that I hope that everybody leaves here and has in their mind something to just Google it, educate yourself. Think about it. If you have access to capital, you understand it, the thing the industry is going to need is going to be good capital to back the right entrepreneurs. There's not a lot of them out there. It's a lot of information that you have to get through to understand if your capital is secure and how much growth there is. But ultimately, the biggest opportunity over the next 10, 20 years, in my opinion, is the cannabis space, because it touches on all of those aspects of multiple industries and it will disrupt intake from all those industries. So it's going to have an incredible ability for economic wealth transfer. It's going to have an incredible ability for creating new value, brands, economic returns, but at the same time, it's going to make the world a better place. So all those things that it touches, it's going to be able to do that. So that's my message. Any questions?
I mean, obviously I'm very interested in more questions, but it's actually more for James. Couldn't you marry your two worlds?
Yeah, we're marrying them.
I was wondering, is there a development in real estate that could...
And opportunity zones in the U.S.
There's a lot of them. And that's another thing, when you talk about low-cost production, you're going to start thinking about the globe. So if you talk about the foundation, you talked about something that was excellent, the land. It's the plant. You know, the plant, it starts with the plant. You have a lot of these companies that talk about, hey, I want to create this study that's going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to create these cannabinoids from petri dishes. All these things that you guys are going to hear, dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper and see how strong the underlying principles are.
Would your government fund ever consider a cannabis operation?
Utah, we got approached by a couple of people in Utah on their cannabis.
We just legalized it in Utah for medical use, which is a big thing because it's run by Mormons.
Yep.
Think about how conservative the Mormons are.
That's a barrier of entry.
And
big barrier.
But we legalized it for medical use.
Yeah.
So
religion.
so
it's
Utah
taking time.
just legalized it. That's just a matter of time before every other state will legalize it. There's no state in the U.S. more conservative than the state of Utah.
I mean, everywhere. It's going to happen. Barcelona's a big hotbed. Obviously, Amsterdam's a hotbed. UK's got GW Pharma. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with GW Pharma. They're trying to patent, I don't know, 300 different patents on the cannabis plant. They've been doing this for 8 years, 9, 10, 15 years. This is what I'm trying to explain to you guys, like 99% of the world has no, excuse my language, fucking idea what's going on. They have no idea. It's happening. It's coming fast, and the whistle's gonna blow. You better be ready to move.
Where can it be grown? Like
What kind? What style?
I have no idea.
So that's a loaded question, and I don't want to go too granular on that. My question would be, what are you trying to make? I want to know, so if I put on my operations hat, not the suit, I put on the overalls and the farming gear, right? My mental part, I'm going to ask you, what is the end product that you're looking for? If I put on my science coat, what type of chemical compound are you looking for? I want to make a mask. You could say, hey, I want to make a CBD plus mask that's going to tighten my pores. It's a whole different process of creating the raw ingredients to do it, starting from the land.
Okay, so there are a lot of different varieties.
100%.
Depending on which
Different cost stack.
compound.
Yeah, different cost stack in a cog that created this remote, right? It's got a little slider, battery, all these pieces, all these little aspects to this thing cost something.
Okay.
And they were produced somewhere.
Well, I guess the question then really, part of it is to understand how much of a commodity it is and how easily producible and identifiable it is.
The cannabinoids will be a commodity. There's another part of the plant that's not, so there's two big parts of the plant. There's terpenoids, which are volatiles. So when you smell something, so you know fragrance like lavender and willow, all these things like lemon, when you pine salt, right? You have that smell, it's like lemony. So that's a terpene, it's a volatile that off-gas, that's what you're smelling. So the plant has an incredible diversity that has different ratios of all these phenols. And so when it's growing, that's why some people like it smells like skunk, or it smells like strawberries, or it smells like this. It has an incredible chemical diversity when it comes to those category of chemicals, and they all change. But those chemicals have a different use than, say, cannabinoids, which is like THC, the thing that gets you on CBD, which is in hemp higher than the cannabis plant, which is anti-inflammatory. Then you'll have THCV, which is like something that makes you happy, and then CBN, which makes you go to sleep. These are all different cannabinoids, and those will become commoditized because you can, instead of thinking about growing the plant a specific way, I'm just going to create biomass for that one chemical. Or those will also be created in the lab, from petri dishes to yeast. But they're finding that that doesn't have the same type of effect as the whole plant. So last point on the plant, basically on terpenes and stuff. as the plant makes those relationships with chemicals of smell, if you were to create those in the lab, they would create massive explosions, chemical synthesis, a problem. The plant in nature does it all of itself and creates those ratios for you. So if you were great at extracting and growing it, you could take it at that state, you can hold it in stasis, and you have it now. You can isolate it, and you have the essence of that plant, that genetic, grown at that location at that time. That's why it's different. That's why it's like wine and beer and liquor and all those things just from the food side. All right, cool.